What's up, everyone? We're back. Welcome back. It is Monday the 4th? It was 5th. It's Monday the 5th. It's Monday the 5th. So we had the weekend off. We started out shooting the 1st, the 2nd, had the 3rd and the 4th off. We're back. This is the 5th. Keeping this chain going on the path to real change. This is an exploration in trying to make this happen for real and to build some, from the ground up, some systems, some foundation that will really help with deep, deep change. All right, so this is very, very unedited, almost no editing. And the point here is to improve this and to refine this every day and to give some real value. So we left off with, the 4, core things that we have right now to start with. Choose your why, belief, reason for being. What do you want? What do you want to be? What kind of person? What systems, rules, habits, actions to get there? Okay, I'm going to stop right now and just acknowledge a couple things about this process too. Even in explaining that, I just felt like disconnected a little bit. I know we've been over this before in the last couple videos, but one of the things about this that I think is extremely difficult is doing it and continuing the process, right? You start something like this, you're going to dramatically change your life. You're finally going to do all the things that you've always wanted to do, and you start that process. The new year, it's easy, and then the weekend happens, and your mind goes on to other things, and you get into work, and there's a million things to do. I'm shooting this in the morning. We got here right away to try to, earlier than usual, to try to get it done, but people are going to be arriving soon, and things are going to be coming fast and hard, and I'm tired. Some things happened at the house and we didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and was up super early this morning. So I'm feeling like in every way it would be very easy to just be like, let's do it tomorrow. So the real challenge here, we've not done anything special yet. That's gonna happen, and I think I will pat myself on the back if I can not even get past a week. I think it's really like to get to 2 weeks and to really get somewhere with this stuff and move into things that are actually useful is going to be key. So I'm gonna put. I can feel I've got to push my engine a little bit. I can feel the tiredness. I can feel the pressure of all the things happening with the business that are like that I've got to attend to. So what I want to do right now is just let you know that, like, when that happens, I don't know, for me, I've got to, I do have to push a little bit. I have to find that energy that we talked about a couple days ago, so I'm going to just take a second. Like, look, I know that if I can keep this energy going, keep momentum going, if we can get to 2 weeks doing this, I know that we're going to find some really great stuff that's going to help myself get to where I'm actually changing my habits and doing the things that are going to help move all my goals forward, which may be useful for any of you out there watching in your path to trying to move things forward and move the goals in your life forward. So, when you're tired, and I think that's one trick, is like you focus on, like, yeah, we could put this off until I feel better, but until things feel right and we have all the time in the world. Or I can say, I know this is important, and I can remember, like, all right, we get to this other side, there's going to be some really fun rewards. I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm going to try to I am pushing a little bit. And we'll see what that does. So let's push. Let's go. All right, so I've already been through in the other videos why I think this process is important and why spending time on your belief system is part of the fuel and part of the fun that keeps you going, especially in moments like this when it's a little hard. So I spent a little time on this. So I erased half of what we did yesterday to give some new room. And so you need to go and spend some time on your own beliefs, your purpose, your why. For me, I'm going big and going like way out there first. You know, that's like, what's my ultimate belief right now? And I kept thinking this idea of an infinity, but not just infinity, an unbound infinity, like this concept that is pretty much impossible for my human brain to comprehend. We talked about it in the last few videos, but I believe right now in the infinite unbound, and I get this is more of like a concept in my head. I want to try to bring it more to a feeling. I do get the feeling when I think about it long enough, it does elicit a feeling, which is something I want to talk about because I'm going to condense this down and then we're going to move on. But, seeking the infinite and the unbound is, kind of what excites me. I'm like, what is that? And I think, that for me, that right now, that ties to feelings and emotions. And I've heard a lot of people talking about, and I've even talked about it today, despite how you feel, do it anyway. Find consistency, It's a big theme in self-improvement. Those that are disciplined and consistent are the ones that achieve things. I think I want to take a little bit of a different tack, and for me, it's how can I regularly take the actions, that get me to the emotions and feelings that I really enjoy, that I choose, that are also aligning with my bigger picture thing of like finding that infinite unbound, whatever that is. That's a huge bigger picture thing. And I guess that's spiritual for me right now. And look, when we get to the systems and rules, I'm going to pick a date where I re-examine my, why, and maybe it'll change. But for now, I'm trying to find something that excites me and fuels me. And, for a lot of people, like we've talked about before, it can be anything, it can be something more, spiritual. I think this is spiritual for me. But I can choose the emotions and feelings that will expand my consciousness and bring me closer to the infinite unbound. So for me, it's infinite unbound, emotions, feelings, and then it's connecting with others. I want to do this alongside others. Connecting. So, seeking the infinite unbound, choosing the actions that I take that elicit the emotions and feelings that help me get closer to what I'm looking for and connect with others along the way. It sounds very hard to understand and kind of broad, and I don't know how that would actually fuel me day in and day out. So I think I probably am going to have to look for something tied, brought in a little bit to my life now, rather than something so broad and ethereal. But for the sake of continuing to move on to get us to what do you want, I think I need to move on. So I'm going to keep going and just push through. But I think that's a good start. And I'm just going to have to know that that's got to be refined. I'm going to hit the gauge really quick. And look, I just want to acknowledge again, this feels shitty. I'm fucking tired, And it's like, I feel like my thoughts aren't making good sense, I just think how, it's one of the big questions. When I get like this, it's like, my instinct before has been, well, I got to do something else until I can get feeling great to where I can come back. But it's like, no, remember, these are the hard, it's not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to be able to speak. I feel like I can't even, get good sentences out right now. But fuck it. So I'm going to drink some coffee and we're going to keep going. This gauge thing, I love this gauge thing. All right, so I'm going to go over it and I want to build this out. Am I happy with life's path? Remember, for me, this is a choice, and I am going to put it. I'm going to put it up here. I'm fully, I'm fully happy with life's path. Even when I say that on a day like today, it's like, I had trouble sleeping last night, got very little sleep, had to be up early, and while I was laying in bed, I was having thoughts that were sort of maybe some negative stuff. I was half asleep, half awake, but it's like, that's not, worries and like fear, and that's not happy with life's path, right? So it's like, how do you work with that? And there's sometimes in life where you go through things that, how could I sit here and say, I'm happy with life's path? I had a great friend, someone very, very close and personal to me, pass away, five or so months ago. And how would I sit there and gauge, I'm happy with life's path on that day? So that question is, it doesn't mean that. I think it's good to examine and practice, that it's not always that you're going to be happy with it, but it doesn't serve you at all. It doesn't serve me at all to sit there and remind myself if I'm not happy with it and focus on that. The best thing I can do is for sure acknowledge this sucks, but I'm making an overall choice to be like, I still get to experience this for a little bit, and I get to feel these feelings and observe this, and I'm still happy with that. And so I am fully happy with it for now, right? Anything can change, and I still think it's important, so I'm going to stick with it. Operating at full potential. I kind of want to put this like here, right now. That's really low. Like, let's say this is like super, like going at all systems go, full cylinder, like just knocking things out, having fun, enjoying life, doing everything I've ever wanted, being down here I think is fine. It's like I'm like, look, when I push through days like today, I'm inching my way forward. So that makes me feel good, you know? And I think systems are going to be incredibly important. Fortifying, building systems, choosing the things that you really love and spending time understanding that so you can just like realize, move towards those things if you can. Set yourself up to move towards those things. I mean, you know, one of the simpler things is definitely sleep, right? Like, it's so simple. It's, for me, it's even above food, like eating well. It's like if I sleep the right amount of time, I feel great. And it makes a massive difference in my interactions with people and what I can get done and how I think. And that's a small thing, but there are many things like that that you can just start to focus on. It's like, yeah, that's worth it. That's fucking worth the trade. Like, I'm gonna get the right amount of sleep because I'm gonna feel great. So, you know, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit with the gauge because the gauge is gonna go under what systems and rules when we get there. So let's keep fucking going. Let's go. All right. I feel like I have not done this justice. I believe right now in the infinite unbound. I can choose the emotions / actions, feelings. I can choose the emotions and feelings. The emotions and feelings that I have are going to be determined by the actions that I take, whether that's even an action in my mind. So that's why I put the word actions there. Expand consciousness, you know, let's try to understand that a little more. I do think the more that you feel, I think you know, this is a philosophical question, but if you feel more, if you act more, you take more action in an organized way, or a disorganized way, I guess, you can go whichever way you want, you are going to feel more. And I do think I'm interested in exploring, and it ties into my belief, this idea of emotions and feelings being a part of, I'm having a hard time separating those out of my belief system, because if you don't have any feelings about anything or emotions about anything, what does anything matter? It's just, you know, if you come across a great work of art and it makes you feel something, if you didn't have feelings or emotions, you didn't care, but you could be conscious about it, you could look at it and understand certain aspects and why they were maybe deemed by something or someone to be high quality, or you could look at it in a very mathematical way. What would be the point of that? It's a question that's ongoing for me, and but it does tie to a bigger picture belief system that I'm interested in exploring, and I'll have to explore it through continual action and experiences in my life about, like, you know, how important are the different emotions. It's almost like, you know, and there aren't, there are nuances, but there aren't that many of them, right? I mean, we all talk and know about the bigger ones, right? Love, hate, you know, these feelings that you could, like, you know, list out. do they exist in general? Do they exist outside of, a consciousness so I think that's definitely a bigger, it's something that we're definitely going to come back to. And in the beginning of this, I know that when we get to, what do you want? And then start assigning actions that are going to take us, take me to what I want, consistent actions that then they'll also be tied to the feelings and trying to really figure out what kind of emotions come with that. I also want to try to generate and build energy through my feelings and emotions, and really understand what's happening with that and examine it. So, all right, unfortunately, I feel like we've got to move on. Let's see where we are with time. But I think we should, I'm gonna try to narrow this down just a little bit. So let's go. So, all right. I believe right now in the infinite and unbound, okay? I can choose the emotions, feelings that will expand any consciousness, it will expand my consciousness and bring me closer to the infinite unbound, okay? Is this a good enough sort of mission or belief or purpose or why? It just doesn't seem like it's, it doesn't feel like, unless I'm reminding myself of it, like it would give enough energy. Like who has a why that is just makes you burn with energy? Like a lot of the things that I think about, people or examples of people that, it's like they're, you hear stories, I don't know, I'm just thinking of, people in sports, as, maybe they were simply trying to set their buy a house for their mother or something, something like that could really fuel them. And I could find those things too, but not, I haven't had something in my life happen where I'm like, felt the opposite of that so strongly that I want to, be fueled, that I feel like that would be as useful for me. And also, I'm really interested in starting way bigger. That's why I'm talking about all this just as far out as I can go in my head, but that's not necessarily, and maybe if we just start there, I just start there, maybe it will fuel me eventually. Because ultimately it really is like, okay, this is going back to what the fuck is this? We talked about this and maybe in the first one, I was like, what are these, I have hands, I'm like, why am I here? Why am I in this body? Why is everything like it is? It's very strange if you think about like, why isn't it anything but this? I'm a human with a mouth speaking words out into a camera right now. It's strange, right? So it's like, what is this? That excites me. There is something fueling for me about doing my part. Like if I was running and and I had a baton and I'm like, pass it off. That there is something fueling for me about doing everything I can to share that with people. Like, hey guys, hey, this is kind of weird. Like, hey, like, what is this? So like, that's important for me to share that at least. Maybe some people are like, who cares, or they have their own why, or great. But there's probably other people that are like me that don't, that are really just searching and always have been. So I want that, to me, the bigger picture in mind is important for me for some reason. And I feel like for humans in general, like our evolution, with whatever you do, understanding that, stopping and understanding the bigger picture, it would seem to make everything better. I think could help everyone. So I think there's something there, is, connecting with others through bigger picture ideas. Bigger picture. Oh shit. Fuck. Spilled my coffee. Now it's gonna smell good in here. Smell like coffee permanently. Yeah. That's the other thing that about days like this. This is like the fifth thing I've like bumped into or spilled. It's like you don't get a lot of sleep. You got a lot of things in your head, and it's like you dropping shit. Things are getting knocked over. It's like those days. How do you get through it? It's not smooth, right? It's not smooth. I've definitely on those days just tapped out. I've said, hey, not gonna fucking do this. This sucks. This video sucks. If anyone is here at this moment, it'll be remarkable. I'm not saying that, like, I actually believe, whether it's true or not, that what we're covering here is good shit. I'm repeating myself, I'm repeating concepts. I haven't learned how to deliver things in an organized way yet. There's some, definitely this is chaotic. But I truly believe that what I'm covering here, what we're talking about, can be useful for people. And at the very least, encourage people to keep going and to keep pursuing and to try to build some kind of a system that'll help them improve their lives in the way that they want. And I think that, some days are going to be, this is a concept that everybody talks about. Some days are going to be, but it's still very few that actually can, consistently pull it off. But some days are going to feel easy, and some days are going to be like today, where you're knocking shit over throughout the day. So I need to slow down a little bit. I need to just take my time a little more, not worry about everything so much. Understand that, I'm glad it's just a cup of coffee I dropped, I fucking did payroll. I was on the phone with a payroll person on my way here, and looking at my phone and making sure that it was processed a few days ago, because I'd heard that it wasn't in the bank yet. So it was like, I'm in the car, which is probably not a good idea. It's like, unless you have a self-driving car or something, so, I'm just gonna, learn to slow down when I start to feel that kind of thing, and still get it done, but just, I'm gonna have to take it back a little bit, maybe make it a little smaller. I think it ties into that concept of if you're sick and you're still trying to keep whatever chain going, just do a lot less. Do something if you can. If you're working out, maybe do one push-up. All right, we're getting off topic here. Let's get back on track. All right. So 9:15, 9:45. Okay, so bigger picture ideas. All right, I believe in the infinite unbound. I choose the emotions. I gotta get some water here. This one, this one's off the rails, man. I choose the emotions. And my consciousness bring me closer to the infinite unbound. All right. So I guess we're not done with this, but I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to leave this top square for, I'm going to jump into what do I want a little bit. I think that this has definitely taken me to a few places that I didn't realize. Just thinking about like what's important to me, and I think that the thing that I think a couple things that I came to this time and last is connecting with others through bigger picture ideas is extremely important to me and is extremely energizing to me. I think just that really jazzes me up. Like to just really like connect with other people about the kind of how the marveling with other people at this and then exploring ideas that could potentially explain it. Both through logic and mind and through feeling. I think the logic, mind, and feeling. Okay, so I mean, definitely can see how this is like you could spend a lot of time on this, right? Because if you spend way more time than I have here, and you find a why that is like, you know, both a bigger, maybe and narrow it down to something even smaller, like something that just, you know, some people are just, you know, they're fueled by something that's not as grand, you know, it's just a day-to-day kind of thing, you know, but it fuels them. You can see how useful that would be. So I'm just gonna put this aside right now and start to get into, you know, once you do this, then you've got like a little bit of a foundation. I do feel like this is ongoing. I feel like it probably won't stop. So maybe the thing that I build is to look with the system is to refine this every month, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every month rather than once a year. All right, so what do I want? This is one of those days where I gotta be extra careful because I don't wanna be, you know, falling off this ladder. Great relationships with my family kids, wife. Those are to start, right? Siblings and fam. Okay, so starting there. I'm gonna go down and hit the rest of these. I think, you know, I'll spend some time with this, but I think this is the next thing. I think for me, there's like 40 some odd things that I want like massive improvement on. So I'm gonna list those out, and I encourage you to do the same. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for today, because I can feel the value, like I'm pushing, but I can feel, you know, the value like not fully being there, and I don't want to just like try to, you know, force this, right? So if anything, we kept the chain going. Day 3, it's like, you know, it kept the chain going. Still useful stuff, and we'll continue this tomorrow on day 4. I will be a little more prepared tomorrow and hopefully better rested. Let's keep this fucking thing going. All right, thank you guys.